The moment we opened this game, everything about it felt wrong, not in an obvious, bloody horror kind of way. No, this was the kind of wrong that whispers in the back of your head, like something's watching you before you even hit start. The screen loaded up with soft colors, a cheerful little melody that almost sounded like a lullaby you'd hear in a baby's room, and right in the middle, there he was. The happy child, sitting perfectly still, grinning like he'd been waiting for us all along. And honestly, we laughed at first. I mean, come on, it looked so harmless. A little cartoonish, almost like one of those children's educational games you'd find in the dusty corner of an old CD case. We thought, this can't be scary, but here's the thing, you know when something's too perfect, when the smile doesn't fade, when the eyes don't blink, when the music loops just a little too smoothly. That's when your gut tells you, don't trust it, and our guts, they were screaming. I remember saying, okay, let's see what this is all about. Trying to play it cool, but the truth is my palms were already sweating on the mouse. The game didn't even start with a tutorial, no options menu, nothing. Just one button in the middle, play, and when we clicked it, that grin got just a fraction wider, like he knew something we didn't. The screen faded into what looked like a nursery, soft pastel walls, shelves full of toys, a rocking chair in the corner swaying back and forth, except there was no one in it. I don't know why, but that tiny detail already felt wrong. The game didn't mention it. No objective popped up. No sound cue pointed it out, but we all noticed it. The chair was moving, slowly, back, forth, and the happy child, he was just there, right in the middle of the room, still smiling, not moving. Not talking, just watching. At first, we tried clicking on things, teddy bears, blocks, little toy cars. They lit up, made little sounds, the kind of cheerful effects you'd expect from a kid's game, but every time we clicked away and looked back, his eyes were just a little different. Tracking us, following us. It wasn't a jump scare, it wasn't obvious, but I swear he was learning. I cracked a joke to lighten the mood, something like, oh great, this is Dora the Explorer from hell. We laughed for a second, but the laughter died quickly. Because the music, it changed subtly, it slowed down like the lullaby was being dragged through mud. And underneath it, barely there, was a low hum. At first we thought it was feedback from the mic, or maybe the computer fans, but no. It was in the game, a sound too deep, too guttural, to belong in a nursery. That's when the chat, or if you're watching this on replay, the little voice in the back of your head started asking the question we were too afraid to answer. What is he smiling at? The room looked normal, the toys were still toys, the walls still pastel, the rocking chair still swinging. But that grin, oh, that grin was growing sharper the longer we stared at it. Not bigger, not exaggerated, just sharper, like his teeth were being filed down behind those pixelated lips. And no matter where we moved, no matter what we clicked, our eyes were always drawn back to him. It was like the game was daring us to look away. I don't know how long we sat there, trying to figure out what we were supposed to do. Minutes, hours, time didn't feel right in that place. All I know is the moment we stopped clicking, when we put the mouse down, leaned back, and just let the room breathe, everything changed. The screen flickered once, just a quick flash of static, like an old VHS tape catching. When it cleared, the toys were gone, the shelves empty, the walls darker, the pastel colors dulled into grays, streaked with something that looked like rot. And the happy child, he hadn't moved an inch, still sitting, still smiling, but now his head tilted, just slightly, to the left. Like he was listening, we froze, not a word, not a sound, nothing, just staring, because in that moment we knew something. He wasn't smiling at us anymore, he was smiling for someone else, someone just out of sight, and that's when I heard it. Not in the game, not in the audio file, in my headset, a whisper, quick, soft, like someone leaning right up against my ear. I couldn't even make out the words, but the tone, it wasn't a glitch. It wasn't background noise. It was a voice. And the worst part, I think it said my name. We should have quit right then, shut it down, but we didn't. Curiosity pulled us deeper, and what happened next, that's where everything started to unravel. So after that whisper, after hearing what I swear was my own name in my headset, we hesitated. We actually sat there for a solid minute debating whether to keep going. You ever get that feeling when you know something bad is about to happen, but curiosity just drags you forward anyway? Yeah, that was us. We told ourselves, it's just a game, it's scripted, nothing's going to happen. But deep down, we knew better. We tried to break the tension by clicking on the walls, the floor, anything, but nothing responded. The only thing we could interact with now was him, the happy child, still grinning, head tilted, and I swear I could feel him waiting. So we clicked him just once. The screen glitched like an old CRT monitor struggling to keep a signal, and suddenly we were somewhere else. The nursery was gone. In its place was what looked like a slightly bigger room, still decorated, still with toys scattered around, but everything was off. The colors weren't pastel anymore. They were muted, almost faded, like they'd been sitting under fluorescent lights for too long. Teddy bear in the corner looked burnt, its fur singed black, and the rocking chair still moving. Always moving, but now it was faster, creaking with each swing, like someone had just gotten up from it. And the child, he wasn't in the middle anymore. No, now he was closer, sitting at the far end of the room, staring at us with that same smile. His eyes locked onto the screen like he could actually see us. And here's the kicker. The moment we tried to look away, the camera snapped back to him on its own. No matter where we moved the mouse, no matter what we pressed, our view stayed glued to that awful grin. I started to feel this pit in my stomach, this heavy weight that made breathing harder, and just as I was about to say, "Nope, I'm out," the game gave us our first text prompt. White letters scratched across the top of the screen like they'd been carved in with a knife. Do you want to play with me? That's it. No yes/no options, no choice buttons, just the words. We laughed nervously, because what else do you do in that situation? We tried hitting random keys, even tried typing back, but the game didn't respond. The only thing that happened was the music changed again. The lullaby slowed to almost half speed, and underneath it, footsteps. Tiny, light footsteps, not ours. Not in the game, like someone pacing just outside the room we were in. My heart was racing, and when I tell you it felt real, I mean it. Like the sound wasn't coming from the speakers at all. It was coming from behind us. I literally turned my head, half expecting to see someone standing in the doorway. Of course, no one was there. But when I looked back at the screen, the words had changed. Now it read, "You said yes." We hadn't typed anything, we hadn't clicked anything, but the game had made the choice for us. That's when things really started spiraling. The toys on the floor began to move. Not like a cutesy animation, either they dragged themselves across the ground, jittering in sharp, unnatural bursts. The blocks clattered, the toy car rolled forward and then snapped back like a rubber band, and that burnt teddy bear, its head turned just enough to look at us, and through it all, the happy child just sat there, smiling. Like this was all a show put on for him. We froze in silence. I don't think any of us even breathed. And then the lights flickered again. Only this time, when they came back, he wasn't at the far end of the room anymore. He was right in front of us, filling the screen. His face too close, too sharp, teeth way too long. I yelped so loud, I scared myself more than the game did. But I swear, and maybe it's my brain playing tricks on me, maybe it's not, but for the briefest second, I could feel warm air brush against my face. Like something had leaned in through the screen, and then it was gone, back to normal, the room, the toys, the rocking chair. Everything looked the same again, except now there was a clock on the wall, ticking loudly, echoing over the slowed music. Tick, 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 and with every tick, the child's head tilted further and further, like the sound was winding him up. We didn't know what to do. Click the toys again, wait for the timer, try to quit. But before we could even move the mouse, the screen dimmed and a new sentence appeared. Don't stop now. We're just getting started, and that's when we realized this wasn't about us playing with him. This was about him playing with us. But what happened next? That's where everything went wrong. So after the game told us, don't stop now, we're just getting started, we just sat there in silence. None of us moved. None of us even touched the keyboard. It felt like a dare, like the game wanted us to break first. And here's the thing about horror, you know you should quit, but your brain whispers, what if it gets worse? And we wanted to know how much worse it could get. So we kept going. The first thing we noticed was the clock on the wall. Every tick got louder, sharper, like a countdown. But a countdown to what? The happy child wasn't moving, just sitting there with that grin, his head tilted so far now it almost looked broken. The music box lullaby was still dragging on in the background, but beneath it, faintly, something new had joined in. A soft static, like a radio searching for a station. And then it happened, the lights flickered again. Just for a second, and when they came back, the room wasn't the same. The toys were gone, completely gone this time. The wallpaper was cracked and peeling, the rocking chair stopped, dead still, and the scariest part. The happy child wasn't smiling anymore. He was frowning. Now, that sounds like nothing, right? But after staring at that creepy, unchanging grin for so long, seeing his face actually shift, it sent a chill right through me. His eyes were wider now, almost glassy, like a doll's, and when we leaned in closer, trying to see if maybe we were imagining it, the screen glitched and he blinked. Once, slow, I swear I almost threw my headset off. We tried moving around again, but the camera only gave us one option this time, the door. It was slightly open, a thin strip of light bleeding through, and honestly, that light felt like salvation. Like maybe, if we clicked it, we'd get out of this nightmare room, so we did. The door creaked open, and the camera shifted into a hallway. Long, narrow, endless. The walls were bare, stained, with shadows flickering across them that didn't belong to us. And here's the kicker, as soon as we stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind us, hard, loud enough to make me jump in real life. And then, footsteps, tiny, rapid footsteps echoing in the hall, too fast, too close. We spun the camera, trying to find the source, but there was nothing. Just darkness, stretching endlessly in both directions. Every click moved us further down the hall, each step making the floor groan like old wood about to give out. My heart was pounding, and then the lights above us began to flicker, one by one, shutting off behind us. First one, then another, then another. Each click forward left us in more darkness, the safety of light shrinking with every step. We tried joking about it. Oh, this is fine, just a friendly stroll with my totally normal smiling child, but it didn't help. The tension was suffocating, because every time the lights dimmed, we could hear it. A laugh, not loud, not human, childlike, giggling, and then, bang, a door on the left slammed open so violently it shook the whole screen. We froze. My mic picked up the actual silence in the room because none of us dared breathe, and from inside that dark, gaping doorway, something shuffled. Slow, dragging feet scraping against the wood. We didn't want to go in. Every bone in my body screamed, "Don't you dare." But the hallway forced us to. The camera controls stopped working unless we stepped forward, so we did. Inside, the room was pitch black. For a second, we thought maybe the game glitched, but then a faint glow appeared. A little toy block in the middle of the floor, glowing like a candle. We moved toward it slowly, and just as we got close enough to pick it up, the screen filled with his face again. The happy child nose to nose with us, his mouth stretched wide open, smiling once more, but this time his eyes were pitch black. I yelled so loud the audio peaked, and then, static, the screen went black for a full 10 seconds, no sound. Nothing, just black, and when the picture finally came back, we weren't in the hallway anymore. We were back in the nursery. Except it wasn't the same nursery. Oh no, the walls were rotten now, covered in grime and what looked like handprints smeared across every surface. The toys were scattered, broken, their pieces twisted into shapes that didn't make sense. The rocking chair wasn't moving anymore. It was tipped over like someone had been thrown out of it. And in the middle, sitting exactly where he was before, was the happy child. Smiling again, head straightened, waiting. That's when it hit us. This wasn't random. He was resetting us, pulling us back to the start, like the hallway was just a test, and now we were stuck. But what he made us do next. That's where the real nightmare began. So there we were, back in the nursery, or what was left of it. The toys broken, the walls rotting, the rocking chair tipped like someone had been thrown across the room. And right in the middle, the happy child, smiling again as if nothing had happened. Like the hallway and the face jump scare were just warm-up rounds. We tried to convince ourselves it was just a loop, a reset, maybe the game bugged, but then the room reacted. The lights dimmed, and one by one, the toys started to twitch. Not move, twitch, a leg here, a head there, jerking like they were being pulled by invisible strings. The burnt teddy bear in the corner tilted up, slowly raising its head, its button eyes glinting in the low light. And then the sound started again, that lullaby, but this time it wasn't soft anymore. It was distorted, warped like someone was dragging their nails down a chalkboard and trying to play it as music, and layered under it, laughter. Dozens of children laughing all at once, but out of sync, some high-pitched, some too low to be human. We froze, nobody moved the mouse, nobody spoke, and that's when the text appeared on the screen again. White letters carved across the top like they were etched into glass. Don't leave me. I swear my stomach dropped. Because this wasn't the game asking anymore, it felt like it was begging. We hesitated, then clicked on the door again, thinking maybe we could escape back into the hallway. But when we tried, the door didn't open. It rattled violently, like someone was holding it shut from the other side. Then, bang, 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 3 heavy knocks shook the entire screen. Loud enough that I actually yanked my headset halfway off, because it felt like the knocks were coming from our door, not the one in the game. And here's the worst part. The happy child's smile vanished again, his mouth closed, his head tilted, and he slowly turned toward the door. Not toward us, toward the sound. We sat there, just watching, my heart racing so hard I thought it might break through my chest. And then he stood up. For the first time, the camera locked, forcing us to watch him rise to his feet. His movements were jerky, unnatural, like a puppet being yanked upright. And then he walked, shuffled, toward the door. Step by step, each foot hitting the floor with a dull, heavy thud. The closer he got, the louder the knocks became, until they stopped altogether. Silence. He just stood there, facing the door. We waited, a second, 2, 3, then, creak, the door slowly swung open. And all we saw was darkness. The happy child turned back to us. That smile stretched wider than ever, his jaw cracking as if it was breaking apart just to grin. Then he stepped into the darkness, gone. The nursery was empty. We sat frozen, whispering, do we follow him? Do we wait? Nobody wanted to make the first move. But the game didn't give us a choice. The camera pulled itself forward, dragging us toward the open door like we were being reeled in. On the other side was a staircase, long, descending into black. No light, no railings, just endless steps leading down. And the only sound, the lullaby again, drifting from somewhere below. We started down, one click at a time, each step echoing louder than the last. The shadows around us seemed to move, crawling along the walls like insects scattering when you shine a light. I kept whispering to myself, "It's just graphics, it's just graphics." But deep down, it didn't feel like graphics. It felt real. Halfway down, the sound changed. The lullaby stopped, replaced by a low growl, not animal, not human, something in between. It rumbled through my headset, so deep I swear I felt it in my chest. Then came the whispers, dozens of voices overlapping, all saying different things. I couldn't make them out, but every once in a while I heard my own name again. Clear, close, like it wasn't coming from the game at all, but from right behind me. I spun around in my chair in real life, expecting to see someone standing there. Of course, no one was. When we finally reached the bottom of the stairs, the camera stopped. In front of us was another door. Smaller, child-sized, painted bright red, but the paint was peeling, flaking off like old skin. The text appeared again, "Knock first." We laughed nervously because what else do you do in that situation? Knock first. Are you kidding me? But the game wouldn't move until we clicked. So, with shaky hands, we did knock. The screen went black, and in that blackness a voice whispered, clear as day, directly into my ears, "I'm home." Then the screen lit up again, revealing what was behind the door. And what we saw there was the start of the nightmare we weren't ready for. The red door creaked open, and for a moment the screen was nothing but black. My heart was in my throat. Then slowly, a faint glow appeared. A music box sat in the middle of the floor, spinning on its own. The tiny ballerina figure twirled in broken motions, her limbs bent wrong, like she'd been twisted until she snapped. And that same lullaby, the one we'd been hearing since the start, played from it. Except now, it was slower, deeper, warped into something that barely even sounded like music anymore. We stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind us so violently that my headphones popped. We spun the camera back toward it gone. The door had vanished, only darkness behind us. The game was forcing us forward. I leaned closer to the screen, and that's when I noticed something. Words, faint, scrawled across the walls in what looked like chalk. We moved the camera, and as the light from the music box hit them, I felt my skin crawl. They weren't random scribbles. They were questions, the same one over and over again. Are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? Dozens. Hundreds, covering every inch of the walls. Some big, some tiny, all scratched in with desperate hands. And as we read them, the whispers started again, louder this time. Are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? Layered over each other until it was a chorus in our ears. We froze, my chest tightened. I muttered, nope, 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 half, laughing half, panicking, and then bam. The music box stopped, dead silent. The ballerina froze in place, her head tilted at an impossible angle. The silence stretched for what felt like forever, and then he appeared, the happy child, not sitting this time. Not smiling sweetly, no. He was standing at the far side of the room, his body taller, stretched, his limbs long and crooked like a marionette. His head tilted so far it almost touched his shoulder, and those teeth rows of jagged, sharp teeth gleaming in the dim light. My heart was racing so fast, I thought I might pass out. He didn't move, he just stood there, staring. We waited, nothing happened, so we tried clicking toward him. Step by step, the camera dragged us closer. The closer we got, the louder the whispers became, until they weren't whispers anymore. They were screams. The words blurred together, a wall of noise. Are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? And then, just as we got close enough to see his face clearly, he vanished. The room went black, silence, not even static, nothing, and then breathing, heavy, wet, slow, not ours. Not the game's audio track. It was in the room with us. I swear I could feel it against my skin. I whispered, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. My voice cracked in real life. And just when we thought the game had crashed, the screen flickered back on. We weren't in the room anymore. We were in a different hallway, narrower, The walls covered in children's drawings, crayon scrawls of smiling faces, stick figures, families. But the further we walked, the darker they got. The smiles turned into frowns. The stick figures were crossed out. Some were torn, and then we saw it. Every drawing ended the same way, with the happy child towering over everything else. And then the lights cut out. All we could see was a faint glow at the end of the hallway. We ran toward it, clicking as fast as we could. My heart was pounding, my palms sweaty, the whole cliché. But as we got closer, we realized what the glow was. Another door, a small wooden door with light bleeding through the cracks. We clicked it. It creaked open, revealing a pitch-black room. For a moment, it seemed empty. Then we heard it, a laugh, high-pitched, echoing, the happy child's laugh. The screen shook violently, static tearing across the image, and then his face filled the screen, twisted, distorted, eyes pure black, mouth split wide open. We screamed. I swear my voice cracked so hard, I sounded like I was 12 again. And just when we thought that was the scare, his voice whispered, clear and sharp, "Now it's your turn." The game froze. Black screen, and we sat there in silence, staring, waiting, until finally a new sentence appeared in white letters, "Don't stop playing." And that's when we realized this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning, so there we were, staring at the black screen, that final sentence still glowing in those white letters, "Don't stop playing." We didn't move. For once, all of us went dead silent. You could hear the static hum of my mic. You could hear me breathing, and nothing else. It felt like if we touched the keyboard, even just to pause, it would somehow know, and then it happened. The screen flickered back on, and instead of the nursery, instead of the hallway, instead of the happy child, there was us. I'm not kidding, a pixelated version of our own room, our desk, our monitor, our chair. It looked like the game had somehow recreated where we were sitting in real life. My heart stopped. I literally leaned back from the screen, whispering, "Nope, nope, nope." Everyone watching live in chat was spamming, "What the hell?" And then, on the screen, the chair moved. Slowly, just like that rocking chair at the beginning. But in this room, in this fake version of our room, no one was sitting in it. I laughed nervously, because what else do you do? Okay, yeah, cool, love being haunted, 10/10 gameplay experience. But my voice cracked. I couldn't even hide the fear anymore. The screen glitched again, and when it came back, there he was. The happy child, sitting in that chair, smiling, tilting his head at the same angle we were tilting ours, like a reflection, like a mirror mocking us. My heart was racing. I muttered, "This feels too real. This feels way too real." And then the screen went black again. No sound, no music, just silence. We waited. 1 second, 5 seconds, 10, nothing. We thought maybe the game had crashed for real this time. I reached for the keyboard, just to Alt plus F4, just to end it, when the speakers blared with the loudest, shrillest scream I've ever heard. We all jumped out of our chairs. My mic peaked so bad, I think I deafened half the chat. And the screen lit up one last time with his face, the happy child, mouth open wider than humanly possible, eyes nothing but holes. And then it was over. The desktop popped back up. The game was gone, not minimized, not running, gone. Like it had never been there at all. We sat there in stunned silence. Nobody said a word. My hands were shaking on the mouse, and I just kind of whispered, "Did that really just happen?" We replayed the footage later, and yeah, the game closed itself, deleted itself from the system, like it was never installed. I don't know how. I don't want to know how. All I know is I am never opening that game again at night. And that's the story, guys. That's the happy child. Sweet little lullaby at the start. Absolute nightmare fuel at the end. If you made it this far, first of all, you're braver than me. Second, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me, would you dare play this game alone in the dark with headphones on? Because after tonight I sure won't. Safe to say the happy child wasn't happy. He was hungry, and now I'm going to sleep with the lights on.